And joining us over the phone to shed, of course, further light on President Assisi's current visit to Paris, we have political analyst Mr. Hassan Wagih. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Welcome.
Mr. Hassan, the timing of the visit for President Assisi is very crucial. We are talking about important conferences and meetings about very crucial breaking topics at this region, specifically, namely, whether it is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and crises, the airstrikes that have been taking place by Israel towards the Palestinians, causing humanitarian crises, the Sudan's debts, which was also a big step to be discussed, and the investments between both countries. How do you reflect on the significance of this visit?
Yeah, the significance of the visit shows that France and Egypt are going together in deep cooperation, and they have good identification ground in so many important issues that concern the two countries. When it comes to the Palestinian problem and the Israeli attack on Palestine, as we have recently witnessed, there is no alternative to two-state solution. And this conflict should be dealt with from its roots. We have to come back to final settlement based on international law, based on the two-state solution that all over the world now, as many parts all over the world, especially the fair-minded people, really insist on having a radical solution to this problem to finish it off and get the area into a stabilization era.
Yes. Mr. Wagih, now it's very obvious that Egypt and France's leadership, political leadership, have common grounds and shared goals and visions when it comes to the way they see solutions and resolutions to the crises in the region. That has been proven successfully and true on the various meetings that they've met, and how they are aligning very much parallelly on the same path. What does this reflect about the strengthened relationship between Egypt and France?
Yes, as we have already mentioned, the stance is the same on so many issues. We have the Palestinian issue, which is very current. We have the occasion that we are witnessing about formulating a better economy for the continent of Africa, and also getting the debt out, to cancel out this that really our brotherly country Sudan is suffering from. So I think that all these steps are having the same identification ground. Also, the controversial dam in Ethiopia, which is of a prime importance for every Egyptian, is also being surfaced, and I think that France and Egypt have same stance regarding solutions and having an obligatory treaty that would really ensure the rights of Egypt to its waters. It's an international river. Egypt has every right to keep its rights intact.
Yes, and how far can both countries, Egypt and France, be able to, I won't say have a say, but to pressure and be able to force certain ideologies or regimes or countries to be able to not just reach to a resolution, but a compromise in order for these crises to be overcome? In general, I'm talking about.
You are talking about this crisis. What is the antecedent of this crisis?
Yes.
What crisis? What we have?
I'm talking about the Israeli humanitarian crisis. I'm talking about the Sudanese, Ethiopian, Egyptian file. I'm talking about the firm stance. Okay. We do understand that they both are on same path now, sir. But the question here is, to what extent will these countries have a say when it comes to the international community?
Actually, this is a very important meeting when it comes to raising our voice for the last chance to get all these problems settled, because if Ethiopia, for instance, when it comes to the dam, insists on its stance with no cooperation, I think the situation would be too dangerous. And I hope that the whole world would move now, not after now. And when it comes to the Palestinian problem, we have seen that there are crimes against humanity being committed when we have all these.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, Sue, Mr. Wagih, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. Now, another important meeting that took place between President Sisi on Tuesday and the African leaders that have attended in France with French President Emmanuel Macron on the African Economy Summit. And that is also another important step that's been taken, because Egypt is always keen, speaking on behalf of the African continent, to be able to develop the entire African continent, to be able to find full support and means of investment to the entire African continent, and specifically those countries that have been strongly hit in Africa by the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you see this step as a further move to develop Africa and to have the Western world look at the African continent from a different perspective?
Yeah, I think that since Egypt started being the president of the African Union, Egypt has already exerted a great deal of effort to stabilize the country, to stabilize the continent. Do you still hear me?
I still hear you, sir, very clearly.
Oh, yeah, okay. I think Egypt exerted a great deal of effort. Egypt adopted win-win situation in all the problems. And I think that what is needed is to have a reciprocal move regarding Egypt's stance. Egypt's stance wants development, wants stability. The president really launched a win-win approach in whatsoever encounter we had and is still having. And I think that Egypt and Egyptians wait for a reciprocal stance, especially when it comes to the most important thing, which is the water share of the international relations.
Yes, Mr. Wagih, my final question to you, sir, is that the whole world is shifting towards sustainable development. Egypt's goal of 2030 are sustainable development goals. And before the pandemic, and even during the pandemic, the African continent was not only waiting for financial support, but it's also waiting for the transfer of experience, technology, and the know-how. How do you find that essential and a means of actually taking place and happening in the upcoming future towards the sustainable development goals that the whole world is shifting towards?
Yeah, actually, when it comes to the problem that we are having from Corona, I think that Egypt has already exerted a great effort to help itself and to help other countries to get over this world problem. And actually, when it comes to cooperation in all fields, Egypt is trying to find ways to achieve such a cooperation.
Very well, Mr. Hassan Wagih, political analyst. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. And we'll be back right after this short break. Please stay tuned.
Egypt opens up to the world. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets with world leaders.
أعبر لكم عن خالص الشكر والتقدير على حفاوة الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة.
Reaffirming Egypt's vision, delivering our voice abroad.